This meeting will come to order. According to the North Carolina General Statutes 160A-70, in the event that the mayor is not present and the mayor pro tem has asked to be excused from running this meeting, it is appropriate for this council to elect someone as temporary chair to preside at this meeting. Is there a nomination from the board?
I nominate Pat Sledge.
I second.
Wow. Are there any other nominations? The chair declares the nominations closed. Councilperson Pat Sledge, or Alderperson Pat Sledge, will conduct this meeting tonight. The Board of Aldermen meets on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. with a pre-agenda meeting the Thursday prior at 5:30 p.m. The primary purpose of the pre-agenda meeting is to review the agenda for the upcoming regular meeting, set the consent agenda, hold public hearings, and receive other presentations. Regular meetings focus on action items, departmental reports, and other business. Both meetings are open to the public and held in the Hilda B. Palmer Boardroom and Town Hall, located at 460 South Salisbury Avenue. A printed copy of the entire agenda packet is available in the H.B. Palmer Boardroom for public use. Please find meeting agendas, minutes, and a link to view the meetings live or on demand at spencer.gov/town-government/and/services/alderman-meetings-and-agenda. Alderman Miller, would you give the invocation this evening?
Yes, ma'am. Will you please bow your head? Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather for this town meeting, we give thanks for the many blessings in this Christmas season. We ask for your wisdom and guidance in our discussion, that we may serve our community with integrity and unity. Fill our hearts with the spirit of Christmas, inspiring us to spread kindness and goodwill. Bless our town, our leaders, our community. Keep us safe and hopefully as we move forward into the new year. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We have all of our board members present with the exception of Andrew Howell, so the chair declares a quorum for this meeting. Our first piece of business is the organization and procedure of Mayor and the Board of Aldermen to establish the time and place for the board's regular meetings in 2025. Board, you have before you the proposed schedule for the Board of Aldermen meetings for 2025. Do any board members have questions or would like to discuss the schedule? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the schedule and location?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Moody has made the motion, and Mayor Pro Tem Sechrist has seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion carries. The second piece of business is to consider appointment and reappointment of representatives. The chair opens the floor to accept nominations for appointing or reappointing the primary and alternate representatives for the Cabarrus-Rowan Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Advisory Committee. Is there a nomination? For reference purposes, our current board members to the Metropolitan Planning Organization currently is Steve Miller as primary and Alderman Andrew Howell as alternate. For the TCC, the Planning and Zoning Administrator is Steve Blunt, with Public Works Director Joel Taylor as the alternate. And for the Council of Government Board of Directors, Alderwoman Patricia Sledge and alternate Alderman Andrew Howe.
I move that we maintain current appointments into the 2025 year.
Second.
There is a motion from Alderwoman Moody and a second from Mr. Muhammad. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Steve Miller,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have comments to make?
No, I have no comments.
Okay, so as the nominations are then closed, are you ready to accept the motion to reappoint? And I guess we've already done that. We have a second and a vote.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I think we voted the whole board for that,
You
for
just
those
did the whole
three,
slate.
for those three things. Okay, all right, moving on. This may be a short meeting, y'all. The next piece will be the appointing and reappointing the board member liaison assignment focus area for community schools. Is there a nomination?
If I may, Alderwoman Sledge, there is again a proposed slate before you based on the current assignments, and
Would you like for me to review that?
you may want to mention, or I can if you'd like me to, but it's up to you.
Well, okay, so the liaison focus areas for 23-24 currently, board members and liaison assignments, Jonathan Williams, Mayor, primary community partnerships, and alternate community development. Patty Seacrest, Mayor Pro Tem, primary community schools and alternate community nonprofits. Steve Miller, primary community nonprofits and alternate to community businesses. Andrew Howe, primary community businesses, alternate community housing. Rashid Muhammad, primary community housing and alternate to community partnerships. Aaron Moody, primary community parks, recreation, tourism, and an alternate to community schools. And Pat Sledge, community development and community parks, recreation, and tourism. Focus areas for community schools, the board liaison Patty Seacrest and board alternate Aaron Moody to North Rowan High School, North Rowan Middle School, North Rowan Elementary School, and Rowan Salisbury School System and School Board. Are there nominations for the community schools focus areas?
I'll make a motion that we continue the same board, please.
For the community nonprofits, do you feel we need to go through those as well?
So I think you listed everybody in the assignments, and the recommendation was that you would want to reappoint as the existing appointments.
Okay.
Yeah, all at once.
I make a
Thank you.
motion to do that.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, and thank you, Ms. Moody. Okay, the motion is to accept the current assignments as they are for 2023-24. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Okay, I think we've covered that part of this agenda. So at this point then, we'll talk about additions, deletions, and adoption of our agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I would like to add an addition to the agenda. I believe our parade. Not anymore? Okay, never mind. No thanks.
If there are no other additions or deletions, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll give that to Ms. Seacrest. Thank you, Mr. Miller, too. Okay. Okay, let's talk about recognitions then. Mayor Pro Tem Patty Seacrest, you have a recognition for this evening.
I sure do. It gives me great pleasure this evening to recognize the 2024 North Rowan Cavalier football team, holder of an overall record for the season 11-3, and that's really, really good. Several months ago, we honored Brian Alford, who sponsors who has a food truck, Something to Go, and we honored him as a community citizen because he has done so many activities for the school in his food business and in all other kinds of activities too. He's Boosters Club president. The list could go on and on and on. And you're going to see why I mentioned Mr. Alford in just a minute. The Cavaliers did lose on November 23rd to East Wilkes by 3 points, which was a heartbreaker, but they made it through the second round of playoffs, and that was really good. And I think Salisbury played one more week after us. We had several players that were named to the Central Carolina Conference All-Star team, and they are CCC Offensive Player of the Year with 1,916 passing yards, 20 passing touchdowns, 60% completion, 526 rushing yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns. Jeremiah Alford, our senior quarterback. Unfortunately, we will be losing him next year, and I'm sure he'll be going to college someplace where we can watch him play. But he has a younger brother that's going to be stepping up on the team. And Jeremiah also played defense many, many times. So he's just a really good all-star player and student. Also making the Central Carolina all-conference team are Donald Horton, Michael Alford, Jeremiah's brother, Nick Mara, Kamari Thinkster, Yasser Wachter, Imari Russell, Jasper Neely, Silas Sophia, and Amir Alexander. And keep your eyes peeled in the paper because a lot of these guys will be going on to the next level to play because they really had a way to stand out, and they were disciplined and dedicated. One thing I want to mention in closing about this, these guys are more than football players. A lot of them are really good students, make the honor roll, and are already being accepted at college. The senior football players, when they completed their regular season, completed their playoff season, presented their jersey to the teacher at North Rowan they felt had been the most influential with them. And that was videotaped and on the Cavalier Facebook page, and that was a wonderful thing to watch. And then today, the football players, along with one of their coaches, came up here and helped us take down Winterfest. So these guys do a lot more than just play football. And a lot of them are also stars on the basketball team. So when you have a chance, go down and watch the Cavaliers because I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seacrest. The chair recognizes Town Manager Peter Francis for recognition.
Thank you very much. So the next recognition is actually for our town clerk, Anna Ward, and she has recently been certified as a public sector human resources professional. There's an organization that used to be known as the International Public Management Association for Human Resources. That's a mouthful. They are in the process of rebranding to the Public Sector Human Resources Association. But the certification that Anna has recently completed was very extensive. It covers 8 modules and topics such as recruitment, selection, classification and compensation, benefits, employee relations, equal opportunity, diversity, and organizational development. There were some self-study modules on all the topics, and as well as online group discussions, classes, and then to cap it all off, a 3.5 hour 100 question exam that, and I'll note this is the part that frightens me, closed book with no study aids, which I think in the professional environment is really a tall order to think about a closed book, no study aid exam. And so Anna was successful in completing that process recently, and she's going to have, or already has a certificate resembling this hanging in her office. I believe she brought her textbook.
One of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
you see the detailed tabs and notes
Oh,
that she
yeah.
poured through that over the months involved. But certainly wanted to recognize her effort into achieving that certification. She's also been working on her clerk's certification as well, and once she gets some time requirements completed, that'll be coming next. So again, appreciate all of her effort to pursue those certifications that are going to benefit our organization.
Anna, thank you for your perseverance and for your accomplishment. I know that that's going to be very beneficial to our organization, so thank you.
And thank you all for allowing me to go through all that training as well.
The chair recognizes Fire Chief Michael Lanning for presentation or recommendations. Recognitions. I'll get it right in a minute.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, board. How are you?
How are you?
I told Joe I'm always in the habit of saying mayor and board, and that's not quite applicable tonight. So before I begin, I need Captain Anderson, Captain Waller, Firefighter Walker, and Firefighter Smith to join me up front, please. So because I know myself and I squirrel trail every which way, I had to write everything that I felt needed to be said down. So tonight I am honored to present the Company Citation Award to an extraordinary team of individuals who have displayed the unmatched courage, resilience, and dedication during one of the most challenging times our state has ever faced. Hurricane Helene affected countless lives and disrupted daily routines, and in moments like these, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenge. But this team stood tall and responded with grace, strength, and an unwavering sense of duty. They put their comforts aside, sacrificing personal time and safety to support those in need, from providing emergency relief to ensuring that essential services continued amidst the chaos. This crew's actions went far beyond just meeting expectations. They exemplified what it means to truly serve and protect, no matter the cost. Their dedication to the mission was inspiring. Whether they were coordinating with emergency responders, distributing vital supplies, or helping to restore services and infrastructure, they acted with professionalism, compassion, and efficiency. What truly sets this team apart was its unity. In the times of a disaster, we often see the strength of these individuals, but this team demonstrated that the real power lies in collaboration. They came together, supported one another, and faced each challenge not as individuals, but as a unified force determined to make a difference in the lives of so many. The bravery and selflessness shown by each member of this team reminds me what it means to not only be a part of this organization, but an integral part of our larger community. Each of you standing here today have set a shining example of leadership, and your actions have made a tangible difference in the lives of so many. On behalf of the town of Spencer and the Spencer Fire Department, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to each of you. Your tireless efforts during the disaster not only helped Western North Carolina recover, but you also reminded us of the true meaning of teamwork and service. It is with great pride tonight that we present each of you with the Company Citation Award as a small token of our immense appreciation for your efforts. Congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done. Your work will have an impact on people for years to come. And the one thing, and they're not here tonight, that I also feel we should extend gratitude for was Engineer Arnold, Firefighter Collins, Captain Myers, and Deputy Chief Lewis. And although they did not deploy with us, they remained back and ensured that our town and our citizens received the protection and the coverage that they deserve as well. Congratulations.
And I'm here because we have one more to hand out, which is the same commendation for Chief Lanning. Chief, Congratulations and thank you. You were right there among the group that deployed, and certainly appreciate your leadership in that effort in particular, but for the department as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the last recognition tonight, and I feel it's been a long time coming. I know it's relieved stress for me, but if Engineer Keever would come to the front, please. So 2 weeks ago, yesterday, I believe, Engineer Keever joined us, so we are now officially fully staffed. He comes to us from the town of Landis, and prior to that, town of Granite Quarry. So we are excited and thrilled to have him join our team, and hopefully he plans to stick around for the rest of his career. That's my plan. I just wanted to introduce y'all to him and him to y'all.
Welcome.
On behalf of the Board of Aldermen, welcome and congratulations to all of you. You play a pivotal part in our safety here in this community, and I appreciate it, and I know all of us do. Are there any other recognitions? If not, then we will move on to public comment. This agenda item is included to allow input to the Board of Aldermen from any citizen who wishes to address the board without requesting to be on the agenda. Those who wish to address the Board of Aldermen must provide their name, address, and topic to be addressed. The board will listen and may or may not respond at their discretion, or may decide to place a topic on a future agenda. A speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The floor is open to receive public comment. And I believe we have with us Heather Racino.
Heather and her merry band.
And her merry band.
Heather in front
Hi,
of
guys.
us.
She can't go nowhere by herself.
Oh, no. Good evening, Spencer Town Board. The Spencer's Holiday Caravan Parade Committee wants to extend a heartfelt thanks to the town of Spencer for the incredible support and resources provided for the Spencer Holiday Caravan Parade on November 27th. This event could not have been possible without your dedication, collaboration, and resources. We would like to extend a special thank you to Joel and his department, Chief File and the police department for ensuring the roads blockage, and for Spencer Fire Department for the involvement with roads and planning. On behalf of the entire committee, I'd like to express how thrilled we are with the success of the parade this year. Your contributions played an integral role in making a memorable celebration for our community. The parade committee is already looking forward to next year's parade and is eager to begin planning for an event that continues to bring joy and togetherness to the town of Spencer. This year's inspiration for a hometown holidays parade truly seemed to be enjoyed by all and seems to be the true inspiration for the town. Thank you once again for your unwavering support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, he wants to say one thing.
And I wanted to go ahead and thank all of our local restaurants and food trucks for providing for all of the guests of the parade. They did a fantastic job. Everyone that we spoke to said that they completely were backed out of their door. I know Pinocchio's has stated they just could not keep up with the demand. And so we are happy to have them and all their support as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent addition.
Well, I, for one, have heard nothing but praise for what was accomplished with this group in such a small amount of time. So we all thank you. It was a wonderful parade, and it went off, I think, without any hitches. So, or at least, well, how about we weren't aware of
No
any
one else
hitches.
knew about them,
Yeah.
so.
We won't tell your secrets. Thank you all. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before the board this evening? Okay, is there a motion to end public comment?
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Second.
Second.
Ms. Seacrest, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Vote carries, and the public comment is closed. The consent agenda is the first order of business. The items listed are believed to be non-controversial and administrative in nature. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless an alderman or citizen requests and is granted permission to speak. The items will then be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Otherwise, all items will be enacted by one motion. Does the board wish to remove anything from the consent agenda for further discussion?
No.
Then I call for a motion and a second to move to the regular agenda.
Make that motion, please.
Mr. Miller, thank you. Ms. Moody, thank you.
If
All those,
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry, I think you said to move to regular agenda. I think the motion would be to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make that motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Second.
Second, Ms. Moody. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion is approved. Okay, so our next thing on the agenda is our annual audit presentation. Do we have the representative with us?
Yes, and I'll be happy to make an introduction.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Manager, would you introduce our auditor?
Yes, so once again, we have had our annual audit performed by RHCPAs, and Senior Audit Manager T.D. Hill is here to provide the report of the fiscal year end 24, June 30, 2024 audit.
And I'll try to keep the good news going. I know we have Chief Lanning there and all his good news, and then we have the parade and everything, so I'll try to keep in the good festive spirit.
Thank you.
Obviously, the audit's been completed. The financials, we completed the financial statements, the notes been prepared, and we submitted to the LGC on November 15th. Auditor independence, obviously we are independent. We plan our audits, look at the internal controls over key areas. We perform a risk assessment. Obviously, we spend time on the more riskier areas. We perform audit procedures to obtain sufficient evidence to render our opinion. And our opinion, we basically we concentrate on whether financials are free from material misstatement. Basically, we provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, but reasonable assurance. Basic financial statements. Basically, you get a unmodified opinion. Basically, what that's in simple terms, that is our highest opinion. So you get a good, clean. That's called a clean opinion, unmodified opinion. The required supplemental information. There's the management discussion and analysis. There's various schedules, changes in pension, liabilities, schedules of total pension, and the retirement liabilities is all in the statements. Individual fund statements, schedules. We did have one segregation of duties issues. It's been there for a couple of years. It got resolved this year, so that was good. We had no material weaknesses. We had one small significant deficiency and one FDIC we're going to talk about. Significant deficiency related around year-end closing entries. Some of those were not made, but we worked with Heather on that. And then we've got a financial performance indicator of concern. The town's available fund balance as a percentage of expenditures was 28%, and that was below the minimum threshold. We have to do a response to the LGC by February. I've got a couple of slides on that. There was no accounting policy changes. All your estimates appeared reasonable. There was no disagreements with management. We get along well. As a matter of fact, during the year, calls from John and Heather one about, hey, I need this with some guidance, whatever. So we're constantly talking with you guys. And no difficulties were encountered. We had complete cooperation with the staff. We had no limitations at all. Let's get to the results. Okay. Blue is coming in, green's going out. So let's go for the last couple of years. 3 years ago, you took more money than you spent. Then last year, it was about even. This year, see the gap there where green is more than blue, spent more than coming in. If you look here, basically the town expenditures in the general fund increased from 4.1 billion to 5.5 in 2024. That's about a 34% increase. Of that increase, 40% was attributed to capital outlay, about 40% to payroll. That's in addition to individual.
TD, if you
Yes.
could try to stay close to the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
because we're
Sorry.
live broadcasting.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so to basically 30 of that 34%, 40% of it was to part of the capital outlay, and then part of it was the payroll. And the general fund expenditures increased by 150% from 2023 to 2024. And because of that difference, your general fund balance went down. Here's a breakdown of your general fund balance. And this is a slide that we like to have where if you didn't have any more revenue coming in, how many days on your current spend track could you have? And for the last couple of years, you've had a little over 200 days. And because of your increased expenditures, you're a little less than 150 right now. This is the general fund balance as a percentage of expenditures. It's gone down some. This is the property tax revenue. We had a little uptick this year as compared to prior years. This is intergovernmental revenue. Had a little uptick in this. This is the general fund expenditure breakdown. So basically, where do we spend our money? We spend it on general government, public safety, transportation, some environmental protection. So major takeaways. Again, the unmodified opinion, our top opinion, clean, as they call it. We've got one FPIC note, and we're going to response to the LGC by February. Overall financial condition, general fund balance decreased by about $580,000. End of year fund balance was about $2.5 million. Total non-major funds at the end of the year were totaled about $450,000, decrease $171,000. There were no disagreements with management, and no difficulties were encountered. Complete cooperation with staff. Any questions?
I think we're concerned about the fund balance as far as that goes. Any issues with that as far as that goes? I know it went down as far as that goes.
Not really issues. We just have to tell the LGC kind of just, here's basically what happened. We spent a little more money than we come in, and kind of what's our plan? How are we going to track on that? But
Is there any penalties for being below that standard that they are requiring?
Not any really penalties. I think they just track it, just want to know sort of what happened and what's our plan.
There is a percentage requirement, is that right?
There is.
And it is
34%.
34%, and
Yes.
we were at 28.
28. So we were just a little underneath it.
And I believe that was based on benchmark data.
That is.
If units start continuing on that path, I think once you get to the level of 8%,
yes,
then that's when you're getting the real issues. Of
Yeah.
course, you don't want to get in be approaching that direction.
While it's something they're going to look at, but it's not a trend. It's just right now you're a one blip. If you were constantly trending on that, that would be cause for concern.
The capital outlays were probably our new equipment we bought for
We've
the
had-
fire department and for the waste management
Correct. Those were some significant.
expenditures.
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions? Do we get a copy of this?
You do.
Report?
Yes.
Okay.
There are copies in Heather's office. I brought those by last week.
Okay.
We'll get those to you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you so
Well,
much.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Hill.
that.
Okay.
Mr. Hill.
And if you do have any questions, if you look over that, as you're reading through that, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Be glad to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for your work. I'm glad that our staff were cooperative.
Yes.
Okay, the next piece of business is to consider authorizing the town manager to execute a change order number 4 for the town park project. Mr. Manager, would you like to present that request?
Yes, thank you very much. So again, we talked about this a little bit at the pre-agenda, but our town park construction is ongoing. And again, it started out at approximately a $2.2 million contract. When you take out some of the allowances, the base contract was about $1.95 million for ICE construction. And to date, we've had a few change orders that have come about that have been below the $10,000 threshold that would bring a change order to you. There were 2 of a additional cost and 1 of a credit that wound up with a net change of about $1,200. We've had some changes between what's in certain allowances and what's in contingency and so on. And that brings us to now where we have change order number 4, which is about $18,000 necessary to construct some additional walls in one of the buildings in the park to meet the plan review, the requirements that came out of the plan review process. And so that is additional masonry, doors, and hardware and HVAC, as well as electrical work that will create a separate room for our fountains, pump equipment, and chemical storage. The proposed change order will not affect the overall cost of our contract with ICE. We're simply using some of the available funding in the contingency, and this change order, if approved, when combined with first 3, would result in a revised base contract amount of $1,975,506.10. It would leave about $30,647 in our project contingency. We have some additional potential savings that we're awaiting some final numbers on related to our fountain. So we think there may be some good news ahead with that may help build back the contingency a little more. But we're awaiting some final numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Franchise. Are there any questions about that?
Yeah, I got a question real fast. Peter, Mr. Francis, has this been approved by the county as far as the addition on this pump room as far as that goes? I mean, it's been approved as it is, so it's no problem with any more change orders along with this area.
Correct. So this is the work that would meet what has been requested through the plan review process.
Okay, so it's been approved by the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to authorize the town manager to execute change order number 4 for the town park project?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Sechrist and Mr. Miller, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is to consider adopting Resolution 2418 prohibiting viewing of pornography on the town network and devices. The chair invites town clerk Anna Ward and town attorney, is that correct? You're prepared to do that? And
Or Jay, if you want to jump in, however
town attorney J.
you want to
Dennis.
handle this. I know,
I'm happy to give an overview and then.
or Peter, yes.
We talked a little bit last week that there was a Senate bill, House Bill 971 that was enacted in the law earlier this year, and it requires all units of local government to adopt a resolution that has some specific language around this topic. We currently, in our personnel policies, have language around appropriate use of our equipment, using things for business purposes, but it does not get into this specific kind of language. And so this meets the statutory requirements as terms of adopting a resolution. It has some reporting requirements for the town clerk on an annual basis. And then we would be following up with a personnel policy update. So that's the high level. Anna, whatever you'd like to add to that, take it away.
I think we covered most of it already last week, but in case there is anyone watching, as Town Manager Francis mentioned, this is just a formality, and in the agenda packet, the specific general statutes are cited. So if there are any questions, I can attempt to answer. Or Jay.
Most places have, workplace rules with regard to this subject matter. What the General Assembly did was they added some requirements that they wanted specifically in those policies. And so even though most people had policies already that restricted access, or they're being updated now just to include the new statutory language that's required. And it's supposed to be done by the first of the year. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the main thing is that people, employees, board members, anyone involved with the town and on the network basically has to delete any potentially pornographic, which it does define that what counts as pornographic material off of their devices the first of the year. So
I think the Supreme Court says when you see it, you know it.
So I just wanted to reiterate, because we did not put this on the consent agenda, because we wanted to make it very clear that we have not had any personnel issues related to this matter. This is just a formality update. Thank you guys for explaining that, but I just wanted to make that very clear that this is not in response to a concern with any town staff.
Oh, and it does exclude, it does exclude, anything for like law enforcement cases and all of that. That's not part of this.
Okay. And it does, I think, call for disciplinary action to be written into that policy as well. And I believe it also requires that the clerk reports on a periodic basis if there is any activity.
Yes.
All right. Are there any other questions? Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2418 prohibiting viewing of pornography on town network and devices?
So moved.
Second.
We have Ms. Moody and Mr. Mohammed. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Would you have some comments, further comments that you want to make? Okay.
I was just asking a question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move to departmental reports. So we'll start with Mr. Blunt.
Members of the board, good evening. You have my written report before you. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do not this month.
Since submitting that report, I've continued to use our bike lanes and have noticed an uptick in use on those bike lanes by other folks. So I wanted to compliment you on the efforts to get that done.
Good.
It's great.
Looks
progress.
good out there.
I think
That's
that's
good.
good.
That's good.
I did have someone behind me today pressing me to move faster as I was coming through town, and they actually
Can't
pulled
believe that.
into the lane, the turn lane, before they got to the turn lane. So I didn't get their license tag, unfortunately, or we reported them.
Chief's taking a note.
Yeah. It was a SUV, and it was white. I did have one question about group home question on Charles Street. Do we have a group home on Charles Street?
We don't. I had a contact from somebody that wanted to buy a house and use it as a minor group home, and there are regulations that control that within our ordinance. I quoted those regulations to that person. I've not heard back from them since then.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt.
Yes,
Are there
ma'am.
any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have the next report from our Code Enforcement Department, Police Chief Michael File.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I will hopefully keep this one a little shorter than most of mine typically are. I provided the standard monthly code enforcement report. You notice the numbers are down a little bit this month. We actually still made pretty good progress because our code officer had a week of much needed vacation and then a holiday in there. So I think we still made pretty good progress. So we opened up 14 new cases and he made movement on 26 additional. So still a very productive month, even though it was a little bit limited work time. So if you have any questions about the code report, I will try to answer those for you.
Does anyone have questions? Thank you, Chief File. Would you like to give us your police department report?
Yes, ma'am. Provided the normal standard police department report, both for the entire agency and for your ACE team. Again, another busy month, 2,665 events. If you notice, traffic accidents are up this month. Don't blame that on the road yet. We're going to kind of see, keeping in mind all the additional traffic that comes in for Polar Express during this time of year. So I believe we had 10 traffic accidents this month, which is a little bit heavy. Again, December is going to be heavy again. So next month's report will look high like that again. Then we anticipate it will go back down come your February report. I will say that hopefully I have some solid data for you. We'll kind of see how the road striping is affecting everything. So we ran preliminary before they started working on the roadway. We ran a traffic study, so I have a complete report with that with our speed and the number of speeders and the average volume per day. So we'll rerun that in January, and then we'll be able to provide both of those reports to you. We may be able to sneak it in for the January meeting. If not, it'll be in the February packet. So we'll kind of see how it's working. Based on what I'm hearing, pretty good though. I think we're going to see our average speed has dropped out there, probably between 5 and 8 miles per hour. That's what I anticipate the report's going to show. So I will definitely have that hopefully for you in the next month or so. But if you have any questions about this month's police department report, I'll try to answer those.
Are there any questions?
I got a question. Chief, I'm not trying to throw more work to you and everything else, but is there any way we can have a yearly report on
Yes.
past how we're doing past years to this past year?
Definitely. I actually have that planned. So we will run that. So we'll run that at the end of December. So we'll be able to look back for the whole year. The only catch to that right now is, if you remember, we were so short on staff, it's kind of hard to compare the reports because a lot of those numbers were logged underneath the sheriff's department back in 21 and 22 when we were really short on staff. So it's going to look like our call volume skyrocketed and went really, really high. It's actually because there's a lot of uncaptured numbers for those times. But I am going to start running the yearly report. So we'll run that. That'll be in your January packet. It'll be a yearly overall. It's going to look basically like the same report you receive now, to just have the yearly stats for the entire year for what the whole agency did. I don't necessarily know if it'll be a benefit. If y'all would like to have the 22 and 23 report put in there, I can. I think it's going to be skewed a little bit, but I can definitely add that in there if you would like to have that in next month's.
I just like to see trends. I mean,
Right.
we don't need to see the numbers as far as they go, but I'd like to see if there's any trends going up as far as they go. because I am concerned about, I know you're doing a good job and you're catching more drugs being involved. And that's the thing I'm concerned about is, are we concerned about that much about drugs being in our community as far as that goes?
In the community, yes, I think that's a nationwide problem. I don't think, there's really not a way for me to run that report other than just get my opinion from reviewing the reports. I probably can get you a percentage of the amount that is coming from inside the community versus outside, and maybe I can provide that next month because that would be a good number. I actually don't know what that is. I would definitely say that I would lean to it's probably about a 75% from outside our community that's passed through traffic. So our officers are encountering individuals that are passing through, running between Greensboro and Charlotte. A lot of times they get off 85 to avoid all the law enforcement on 85, and they use 29 as a bypass. So it's good we're catching them. It makes it look like it's really bad in our community. It's really passing through. But there is no doubt there's definitely narcotics problems everywhere. So much like the firearms, I just processed in half a dozen firearms just before I came in here, where we're taking them off the street from known convicted felons. So there again, it's not so much that we've got a lot of illegal firearms per se inside our community, but it's all passing through. So it may be a little bit hard to get those numbers, but I will try to put something in the packet next month just to show what those percentages look like. I really do feel like it's definitely slanted way on the conservative side for town residents that are involved in those activities versus pass-through traffic, if that helps answer that question.
Yeah, I'm also concerned about how Spencer relates to Rockwell or China Grove or Landis or something like that.
Significantly busier. And a lot of that is due to our placement, though. It's not a reflection upon our communities. We're right here on the 85 corridor, and we're in that prime, Charlotte to Greensboro is the prime area for narcotics and weapons. So we're in that area where, they're isolated a little bit to where they have a little less of that pass-through traffic. So definitely going to be higher volume on that, significantly higher. That's why your ACE team is getting just really a large amount of narcotics and weapons off the street. That's the unfortunate thing that winds up saddling our budget. If you don't address it, though, it goes rampant, and then you see that people feel like they can get by within our community. So it is a catch-22 because it really saddles all the way from the top down. I still log and check in all the evidence individually and take it to the state crime lab. Just something I've never turned over. It's one of my things I enjoy seeing. It really lets me see what our officers are doing. So it really does saddle all the way from me down to the lowest person. But it's very important to keep it pushed out. And rest assured, people on the street know. So I like hearing the chatter on the street where they say, don't go to Spencer. It's not the good people saying that. It's the bad guys saying, don't go to Spencer. They're going to pull you over. They see all their buddies getting charged and arrested. So that kind of makes you feel good that the guys are doing a good job. So, but I'll try to have you some numbers next month on that.
Yeah,
but I commend you. Y'all doing a good job as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, 70 arrests sounds like a lot in a month.
Yeah, they're definitely busy. There's no doubt. Any given weekend, that's why we've always worked. We've been very fortunate that you've never heard banging around back here. We had a couple rowdy ones this weekend, so I was glad there wasn't a board meeting going on because you may would have heard them through the doorway. So definitely very busy.
I
But
just
they're doing a
have
good
one
job.
quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
And you probably have told us this, but I don't remember. What happens to the seized firearms? Are they all turned over to the crime lab? Or?
So you can no longer destroy firearms unless they have like a scratched off serial number or something that renders it to where a judge can order destroy. So typically, they really don't want them at the crime lab anymore. They get so many turned over to them. We ask them to be turned over to us. I mean, if it obviously can't go back to an original owner, we ask them to be turned over to the agency for training or sale or disposal. So we get a lot of them turned over to us. It helps. We get to use it for the officers' training on a multitude of different weapons so they know what they encounter. It's about the only way they can get hands-on time with knowing how to, render a weapon safe if it's something they've never had an experience to deal with. And then if it's one that we're not going to use for that, we can actually use it for trading. That helps keep our yearly ammunition costs down. So you kind of see reflecting our budget. We really don't raise our ammo cost up. It didn't go up based upon the trend in ammunition costs more, because we're able to actually use those weapons and trade them in, and they give us credit back for training ammunition. So.
Okay. And I've got one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all ever run into these guns that you can create off of a computer? I just wondered if they were showing up around here.
We've got two in our evidence vault right now. Yeah, a lot, it kind of called a ghost gun on the street, so it's a
Yeah.
weapon that's been made, basically homemade, and it has no serial number on it, so, yeah, we've got 2 of them that we've taken off the street, currently. I know Salisbury's had a lot more they've encountered. They do function, so kind of a scary thought when you think you can assemble something in your house like that, but, those are ones that, they could be destroyed, obviously, because they don't have a valid serial number on them. A lot of times we ask for those to be turned over to our agency for training, and we actually keep those. We never would be able to sell them solely to train our officers on, how, basically on a gun that's been made, something they never encountered before. So.
Are they 3D printed and then, or are they?
Yeah, there's a
made
couple different
components?
ways. Yeah, you can 3D print what's called the lower, which would be like the frame portion of it. They've gotten pretty good at making a lower that works really good, and then the slide, the top part on the firearm, they would actually purchase that. So typically the serial number is attached to your lower portion of it, so they can make that. Then they can just buy parts off the internet and assemble a gun that's effectively never been registered, never had a valid serial number put on it.
Thank you, Chief Lanning.
Chief, appreciate you explaining that.
Sorry, Chief Fowle, I'm sorry. Chief Lanning, you're up next. Sorry about that. I'm looking to
It's also
the
good, you both have the same first name too, it's just,
How are y'all again?
good, how are
Hey,
you?
Chief.
Good. So you have my prepared report before you. One couple things I wanted to hit on, under apparatus. So we are planning a push-in ceremony, which is just a tradition thing in the fire service. Anytime you have a new engine, before you put it in service, it gets pushed in. So we are planning that, and I'm trying to be somewhat strategic and plan that at the same time as our annual banquet. And that way elected officials, family members, retirees, everybody will be there. And we're not requesting y'all to attend multiple events, knock all of it out at one time. And then the other thing, and it's went great. Some of the staff, I think maybe sometimes they get tired of hearing kittens. However, our partnership with the neuter scooter has went great. Had one yesterday. I think we have one more this week, next week. But we're doing about 2 a month. And that's been an overwhelming success. They post it normally within a day, 2-3 days at the most. It's completely booked out. So some positives. I know everybody was wondering why you drive by and you see this huge RV bus out back, and it's a little out of the normal to be at a fire station. But it's going well, so it's a positive. Have any questions for me?
I just wanted to say thank you for that continued partnership, because I have a recipient currently sleeping it off in my laundry room right now. So let's all pray for my laundry room when this meeting is over. I let him have it.
Was that today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
But it's a great opportunity, and I feel very fortunate that I got to take advantage of it right here in Spencer. It was great.
Yeah, I hear.
So
These cats that are brought in, they're not caught, are they? In traps or anything like that, are they?
I happen to know.
Okay.
These
well, tell me.
are trap, alter, and release programs for
Okay.
community non-pet cats. So they are trapped, brought in. They are altered. They are vaccinated for rabies. There's other services you can pay extra for, like fleas and stuff like that. And then they tip the ear to let animal control know that this animal has already been vaccinated and altered, and you don't need to pick them up, and they're returned back
Okay.
to the community.
That's good. And we've had some complaints about those.
Yes, so that's why, I mean, it's an amazing thing for our community, especially because we have a lot of cats, and the longer we let it go, the more cats.
More cats we have.
So I'd say, I think they get really close to 40 every single time the fire department hosts them. So I don't exactly know how many they've had, but it's a lot at this
I
point.
think we've done 6 or 7.
6 or
Clinics
7.
thus far.
Yeah, and so that's a lot just from the Spencer community.
280 cats.
It's a lot of cats. So we're really, I think that it's a great program, but we're really fortunate that the fire department was willing to host, and they're really thankful to have been so welcomed here in Spencer, and I feel very proud that we were so hospitable.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much.
the individual who brings in the cat pays for the neuter service, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure there's some cats out there that are not very happy right now, but anyway. But thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Thank you for your
Thank
report.
you.
Thank you.
Public Works, Mr. Taylor.
Good evening, members of the board.
Hello, Mr. Taylor.
Apologize for the voice, but it comes and goes when it wants.
Is
So,
that a result of your work over the weekend?
The weather change,
Oh.
it's got me kind of messed up. It goes cold for a while. If it just stay alone, either stay cold or don't. It doesn't matter to me. Just a few things to note. The leaf vac normally continues until the end of the year, January 1st. We'll see how weather is for the next couple of weeks. If it's like it is right now, we'll probably extend it for several weeks to let people, get their stuff out there. So just a reminder that it is coming up, and we probably will run till the middle of January. That's about the time we usually cut off doing that. Also a reminder, Christmas Day is on a Wednesday this year. Public Works will be working Monday and Tuesday. So if your trash day is Wednesday, please put your trash out on Tuesday. We will try to get everyone's trash picked up before the holiday so it's not as heavy after the holiday. So just a reminder to everyone and whoever's watching, if your day is on Wednesday, we'll run Monday as normal, Tuesday will run as normal, but we will pick up Wednesday on Tuesday. The town offices are closed on Monday and Friday, but we are going to be working Monday and Tuesday. There's no way I can do trash Monday and Friday before the holiday and after the holiday. It's just not any possible. So our guys will be working on Monday and Tuesday, even though town offices are closed on Tuesday.
Well, thank you guys for that extra push. I'm sure everyone is very appreciative.
So it gets, if you don't get picked up, that Wednesday would actually lapse 2 weeks. And there's no way with Christmas holidays that would work. So it would be even more of a mess, come the next week. So we'll try to get everyone picked up. And there'll be some that do not, but hopefully everyone will put that out. Of course, most of the time this month has been spent, getting the town ready for Christmas events, that kind of stuff, and then leaves on top of that regular services. So that's what we've been pretty much doing. We still do have 2 positions open, but we have 2 candidates for the mechanics position I'm looking at right now. So that's definitely a positive. We would definitely like to thank TJ Brown, the county, for letting us borrow the cones for all the events, whether it be for the parade and then also the 5K that we just had. And we'll now be housing 100 cones for him here in our building. So we'll have access to those if we need them. He'll have access if we need something on this end of the county. So they will be at the shop. And one other update, the stormwater project on 2nd Street, he actually got started on the 2nd. He actually worked through the weekend. Pipe is in and running. Good. So that way, but he knew the rain was coming. So the road bed's not been built back completely, but the pipes are all in and they are functioning like they're supposed to be. So he'll have to dry up a little bit, of course, before he can start, getting the dirt and everything spread back around. But the infrastructure's in. So he worked through the weekend to get that. So I want to thank him for that.
Now, on that road, I guess he's not going to worry about asphalting right now as far as that goes.
Right. We'll see how temperatures go. I mean, if it's like it's been the last couple of days in the 60s, we might get asphalt.
So they're still working, asphalt companies are still working?
They are now, not with the rain, they're not. But yeah. I know JT Russell is still doing some paving when he's hitting warm days, because they'll do anything over 45. Okay. So if it hits a day over 45 and the sun's out, they'll pave. Okay. So it's kind of we'll just wait and see. He'll have the road bed built back up with gravel. Yeah. We'll be able to open the road. Right. But it may be, next month or 2 before we get asphalt on it. Sure. But that'll be a process. We'll see how that goes. Okay. All right. That's all I have at this time. If you have any further questions, I'd like to answer.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The town looks beautiful. Thank you for all the decorations.
You're welcome.
It's my favorite time of year.
Our finance officer, Heather Kahn, is unable to attend this meeting, but she did answer questions last week. You have her report and some notations throughout the report. Chair recognizes Town Clerk Anna Ward for the library report.
Good evening, Mayor, or not Mayor, board members. So you have the library report in front of you, but some of the highlights in the middle of this past month, Ms. McCraw had 2 authors from Western North Carolina come down, Gretchen Griffith and Sandra Warren, and they spoke about various types of memoirs one can self-publish, as well as providing resources, so a bit of a workshop for anyone who wanted to attend. And they also collected donations to bring back to Western North Carolina, such as dolls, stuffed animals, coats, scarves, hats, gloves, and books. And then coming up this month, each year, Mrs. McCraw tries to have a theme for her Christmas event, and so this year it's a Caribbean Christmas. So Nate Brown will be playing the steel drums, and Pinocchio's will be providing fruit trays. And this is on December 13th from 6 o'clock to 7:30. There will also be snacks and crafts for the kids. And then later this month on the 17th, Jeremy Vess, who has written his first Christmas book for children, will be reading that. And there will be a book signing for anyone who purchases a copy. And also Pinocchio's and the library are collecting new toys, scarves, hats, gloves at the Caribbean Christmas event for the Hurricane Helene victims. So bring donations with you if you attend.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Mr. Francis, it's time for your town manager's report.
Okay, here it is. Well, I want to start out with certainly thanking our staff for all that's gone into making these events possible. There's a lot that is visible, and there's some that's invisible, but it's kind of an all hands on deck situation to get through. And it seems like we have certain times of the year where it gets really busy, but this stretch in the fall, and it just kind of builds and builds and builds. And then last night we had a great event to culminate the end of Winterfest and celebrate our staff. And I appreciate all that attended with the families and got to enjoy the space a little bit and take some time to do that. But the ability to come together and have the teamwork within the organization, but also with our community members, it's truly a partnership. And this has been a few years now, but it's every year it somehow gets better. Even with our modifications this year and our maybe temporary quarters, I think somebody who just showed up to Winterfest maybe wouldn't have even realized there was anything other than what we would hope for. So kudos to everybody involved, and certainly our staff puts a lot of time and effort into making that possible. In the agenda packet, we've published a draft holiday schedule for the next year. So we do that just to provide a heads up, and once we expect it will likely get finalized as it is, but we will publish that to make sure people are aware as we go through next year what impacts we'll have on for our services. And we talked last month about legislative advocacy and our priorities, and so that information was provided to the municipal association for the upcoming process to figure that out. We actually have a meeting set up on Monday with Representative Warren to take a look at our current fire station and help let him see the needs of that particular project. So we're appreciative of the ability to do that. And we also had a meeting recently with the North Carolina Railroad Company. And that is a private company whose sole shareholder is the state of North Carolina. And it basically operates the corridor that goes between Charlotte and Morehead City that of course comes through here, and they lease out to operators like Norfolk Southern and others to use it. But they have some economic development programs that they wanted to share with us, and it sounds like there's some potential related to the finishing company project to benefit from their economic development programs. And they have a what they call a due diligence micro grant that may help continuing to advance the plans and the development of what's to come there. And so what I'm hoping is actually to get authorization for staff to apply for that $50,000 micro grant related to that project. It's a very kind of a simple application, and it will not take a whole lot of time, but it's one that's kind of come up quickly, and we wanted to mention and make sure you are aware. And once, of course, on the other side of that, we would bring it back for acceptance if we were successful.
So are you asking for any board authorization on that at this point, or will that come with the next meeting?
If we could now, that would be helpful.
Okay. All right. So do you have, do I have a proposal about it? Or do I have anything about it?
It's well, there's some description in the report, in the written manager's report, but basically the request is for authorization for staff to apply for the North Carolina Railroad Company Economic Development Micro Grant for our finishing company and Lamb Fisher site project.
Okay.
So moved. Was that too early?
That's too early. So
I gave it a shot.
There is a motion on the floor.
I don't know what it's for, but it's a motion.
From Alderwoman Moody to authorize staff to apply for the NCRR Economic Development Micro Grant for the North Carolina Finishing Company / Lamb Fisher site. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Francis, the board has given you approval, so get busy.
Okay, thank you. And then the only other thing I'll mention out of the report was there was some discussion in there around our park project, and some of it was around all the change orders that we've already discussed, but also wanted to provide an update on contributions so far. And actually, I believe there's been some additional pledges and some donations received since what was noted, but to date, at the time we had published this, we had 4 gifts or donations or grants provided, and some of these y'all are aware of, but I'll note that one was a $10,000 grant from the Salisbury Rowan Community Foundation, and I'll also note related to the park project, when we had provided the concept of how to move forward in the fundraising plan. At that time, the board provided authorization for staff to seek funds, donations, apply for grants, and also to accept them. So I'll be providing updates in this format, and we won't necessarily be, each time bringing if we're successful in a grant, we will likely not be bringing it back for formal approval, because that's already been designated as staff for this project. That makes sense. But we have a remaining amount of about $368,000 that we're seeking to raise, and we continue to seek and apply for grant opportunities. We also have met with the mayor about doing some significant asks to community donors, and we'll be working on arranging some meetings with him and potential donors to help continue to advance our fundraising program.
Okay, are there any questions about the manager's report? Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Thank you.
Is there a need for an executive, well, no, we have requests and comments from the board. I'm getting ahead of myself again. At this time, we'll have a request and comments by the mayor and board members. Mr. Muhammad, would you like to start?
Okay, I would just like to say again, we appreciate hard work and dedication that the staff and department heads have been putting in over the time period of this year, especially right now during the holiday season as well. The parade was a success, as we already discussed, as well as the Winterfest, and I hope that everyone continues to be safe throughout the rest of the remaining of this year and have a prosperous new year come in as well. And we will continue to address the concerns of the citizens for the betterment of this town. So do feel free to continue to watch or to come in and voice your concerns during public comment, or if there's an issue between now and then, please bring it to our attention and we will try to address that in an orderly mannerism.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am. The holiday season has a lot of events and a lot of ways we can say thank you to many different folks, and we've already expressed our appreciation to the staff. I know they do an outstanding good job because besides what they're normally doing, they're doing double duties, and I know personally I appreciate what y'all do as far as that goes. It's very much outstanding as far as that goes. We're fortunate to have the staff we do. I also like to thank the town of Spencer with the leadership of our town manager, Peter Franzese. Peter does a good job, or Mr. Franzese does an outstanding good job. We just had 2 events this past week, our senior citizens luncheon that we had, and recognition of our senior citizens, and I'd like to thank you for that, putting that on for us, as well as last night putting it on for our employees to have a little night out at the Winterfest. That means a whole lot, especially to see the kids of the employees out enjoy themselves. So thank you very much for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's been a pretty tremendous time recently in our community. There's been lots to celebrate, lots of wonderful reasons to come together. And so I just wanted to thank all of the staff, committees, volunteers, and citizens who put hard work into and or attended those amazing events. Just wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season and the rest of our year. And I'm looking forward to a new year and continuing the good work of this town.
You want to go next?
I just want to reemphasize and how wonderful our town looks here at the holiday season. I never thought I'd live long enough to see Spencer turn into a Hallmark town, but darn if it hasn't happened. And I heard so many wonderful compliments about Spencer during Winterfest, and I'll let Pat tell you what one gentleman said. I mean, people were just amazed. They said they had fun volunteering. I was like, whoa. I mean, they loved being here. So I just thought that was wonderful. So we have a lot to celebrate and be thankful for, and I want us to be mindful of that. And don't forget about the walkabout town, and that's Sunday. I'll let you give the details so don't get them mixed up. Or Peter give the details. I had it written down, but I can't find it.
Well, and I had it on my phone, but I put my phone away, so, you have anything else to say? Is that it?
No, that's it this time.
Thank you, Ms. Seacrest. I was very happy with the results of our parade. I missed to ride on the fire truck. It went by me, and I didn't realize because of all the lights and everything that I was missing my ride. But I did have an opportunity to stop traffic and keep people from running over people participating in the parade. So that was a good thing. Yeah. I feel like we had a successful Winterfest. We had I had 66 unique volunteers who signed up, and we had others who did not sign up. We had a little over 4,100 people attend over the 3 days, and we had a couple of times where we really didn't have good counters at the gates. So I know we had actually more people come than those numbers. But you're right, the volunteers all have told us how much they enjoyed it, and they said they had a wonderful time doing it. So it was good for our community and good for the visitors who came here as well.
And they said, call them again next year. And we've got their numbers.
Absolutely. And I was reminded, I had a doctor's appointment this week, and my doctor was here, and he had brought his child, and they enjoyed it. And his nurse said, well, next year you need to call the Catawba women's soccer team because they'd be happy to volunteer. So I've got my notes on that too.
And she already had a big group from Livingston. We had people, international people there volunteering.
Yeah. The honors students, the international honors students were here as part of the volunteers. And so that was interesting too. They were from Ghana, Zimbabwe, and trying to think, I don't think there were any from any other
I think those are the two.
I think so. But I mean, they never even seen snow. So yeah, they were and had no clue about ice skating. But and weren't really prepared for winter weather either. But I had lots of gloves in my car that I loaned out during those couple of days that it was cold. We did have one volunteer who came to us and said he absolutely loved this, that this was the happiest place in the world. And yeah, so I mean, you know, it was he was actually helping with gingerbread houses, so he was working with those. And we had kids wearing ugly sweats, ugly T-shirts, and Ms. Linda Miller was responsible for a great deal of that. So we just had, I said it takes more than a village, truly, to pull this off. So if you were involved in any way, shape, or form, we are very appreciative and look forward to next year and having it in our park next year. The walkabout, the walk and talk. Peter, would you like to elaborate on that? Because I don't have it up in front of me.
I'd be happy to. So Sunday afternoon at 2:30, anyone who's interested in taking a walk around, starting at Library Park and going on a predetermined route to walk along with a few elected officials and community members and have just an opportunity to identify if there's any issues we need to be aware of or things to share with us or positive feedback or however you like to be it. But it's kind of a walking meeting around the neighborhood and a time to build community relationships, a time to meet your neighbors, and all those sorts of things. So we hope to do a few of these next year, and but this is the first one that will be taking place this weekend, Sunday the 15th, I believe it is, at 2:30 p.m.
I think that's a great idea.
I just thought of something I forgot, and it was important. I just wanted to also say that I will be reaching out to the administrators at the schools, 3 North End schools, before this semester ends, setting up an appointment in early 2025 or at the end of this to evaluate and also to see what we can do as a town board to assist them and help them. So any of you parents who have spoken to administrators about some concerns or some things that you would like to see a little bit of extra push in or help with, make sure your administrators know and put it in writing in an email, because it's hard to keep up with everything, and we'll see what we can do to help in some ways. We won't be able to do everything, but we can maybe pick out a few things we can do.
On that same sort of subject, our fire department goes to the schools on Wednesday to have lunch with the kids and invites all the members of the board to come and do that. Unfortunately, Wednesdays are my days in Louisville with my great-grandkids, so I'm not there, but thank you for doing that. And anyone who can go, please take advantage of that opportunity. Okay. Is there any further business to discuss? Do we need an executive session? Okay. If there is no reason for executive session, then I call for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Mohammed?
Second.
Second, Ms. Moody. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Opposed, no. Motion carries. And this meeting is adjourned.